Alright my fellow agents, welcome back to the Gaming Brigade, and to summarize this entire video within the first 30 seconds, if you want to get the blueprints for certain exclusive exotics such as the Eagle Bear, the Ravenous, the Tempest, the Tinkerer Mask, as well as a few others like the Ouroboros, all you need to do is farm the new Black Tusk Retaliation, as they have a chance of dropping those blueprints. If that's all you need to hear, feel free to click off this video right now, but for everyone else, there happen to be a few things I'm going to cover, including the fact that right now in the game there seems to be a bug in regard to the Retaliation timer. Now a lot of players out there, including myself, are encountering the issue where you get that agitation meter to 100%, but you do not get a notification that the Retaliation has begun. And it seems like the timer is actually stuck at 99%, and I think it's just a visual bug where you're not really at 99%. Let's say you're like at 80%, 85%, something like that. Keep on farming that faction, the Retaliation will kick in. And unfortunately, this is just another bug that was introduced at the start of the season, but my friends, I'm telling you right now, I tried this out multiple times. I just kept farming the faction, the Retaliation did start. Otherwise, I would not be putting this video together for you, so please do me a favor and let me know in the comment section down below, have you encountered this bug, or what other bugs have you encountered since the start of Year 8 Season 1, and hopefully we can get this fixed as quickly as possible. Alright, so, as you can see on screen, we have made our way to the crafting bench, and there are a bunch of new exotics introduced into the loot pool as far as blueprints are concerned. As you scroll down the entire list, it is going to show you what faction you need to farm. And again, if you're lucky enough to get the blueprint to drop, you then need to actually farm the components you need to craft one in the first place, but this allows players out there who have not had any luck whatsoever getting certain exotics to actually have the chance to get something guaranteed. Now with that being said, I want to give you my thoughts on something really quick. One thing I've talked about here at the channel for years now is that, in my opinion, what the game needs to do is introduce new exotic weapons and gear into the raids and the incursion, and then they rotate the old ones into the Retaliation game mode. That way you can try to get the blueprint, and what that will do is it will keep the raids and incursion actually relevant, and it is my sincere hope that we actually see that introduced into the game at one point very soon. Alright, so as I said a moment ago, you can see, for instance, my True Sun Retaliation meter is at 0, but it's 100% full. That is the visual bug I'm talking about. If you continue to farm True Suns, you will actually get that notification that the Retaliation is ready to go. Now, in addition to the Black Tusk being added to Retaliation, you also have the ability now to stack those Retaliations up to 3 times for every single faction. Another great introduction this season was the fact that we now have matchmaking for Retaliation, so you have the ability to do that as well. Which now brings us to the topic of how do you actually fill up a certain faction's Retaliation meter in the first place? Answer is simple, you want to go after anything that they control. So for instance, one of my favorite things to do when it comes to Black Tusk is I hit up certain open world activities located around tidal basins, such as public executions, because you can clear those in typically 90 seconds or less. And when you clear those, you're also going to get a Black Tusk bounty, and that can fill up that agitation meter incredibly quick as well. Now, as we make our way to a round of Retaliation, I want to mention a few things really quick in regard to your difficulty. When you are trying to fill up that agitation meter, difficulty does have an impact. So obviously you want to farm in the highest difficulty you can, because that will help fill that meter much faster. But at the same time, you also need to take the time in which it takes to clear something into consideration. So let's say if you're playing on heroic, but you're dying non-stop. At that point, in my opinion at least, you're just kind of spinning your wheels, you know what I mean? So I recommend dropping the difficulty down to challenging, doing some of those open world activities, and you should be able to fill up that meter pretty damn quick. Now with that being said, it takes us to the topic of what difficulty should you actually play on in Retaliation, and once again, you want to play in the highest difficulty you possibly can. Now as far as the Elite BTSU Team 9 Kill Squad is concerned, they can spawn in any of the difficulties. You can see one spawn for me on Challenging, but it's not a guaranteed thing. So even if you do these on Heroic non-stop, you're not guaranteed to see one of these Elite Kill Squads. And even if you take out one of the Elite Kill Squads, you're not guaranteed one of those exotic blueprints. It all boils down to luck, but I've heard from a lot of players out there playing on Challenging and Heroic. They've been getting these blueprints non-stop, and obviously I wish you nothing but the best of luck. Hope this video helped you out, my friends, and as always, questions, comments, or feedback, please let me know, and I'll do my best to get back to you as quick as I can. On that note, I'm going to leave you with some gameplay footage and a few final thoughts. As always, I want to take a moment and thank you all for your incredible continued support. Please let me know of any other questions you have I did not address. Thank you once again for the privilege of your time, and as I mention at the end of every one of these, take care of yourselves, be kind to each other, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks again, everyone. Hello once again, my fellow agents. I hope you're doing well on this fine day. All right, so I spent about 2 hours this morning, maybe a little bit more, verifying that when you continued to farm for a faction, even though the meter said it was at 100, it would actually fill up eventually. And I don't want to, I'm not going to guess with percentages. It seems to be like 15 or so % off, something like that. So again, from where I'm sitting, every single time I did that, the actual meter did fill up entirely and I was totally good to go. But so it seems it is just a visual bug, which is still a total pain in the ass. And look, unfortunately, and this is not something that is uncommon, we saw a lot of bugs introduced into the game. You know, that's why I'm staying away from prototype gear, all those things. It just seems to be kind of a hot mess right now. So again, you have been warned. I'm trying to think what else I want to talk about in this video. There are a few different things we need to discuss. We've talked about the whole prototype gear escalation thing. I've mentioned a few different times in multiple videos. I'm staying away from it right now. I just don't have the desire to do it. And not only that, I don't really see the point with the iteration it's at right now. And you know, the only reason I bring that up is because some of you have reached out asking me if I'm going to be putting together prototype builds here at the channel, and my answer is no. You know, I don't really have the time to farm for that gear, and I really believe that the majority of the community doesn't really want to do that either. So again, look, if you have the ability to farm for it, you should totally be farming for it, you know, and if you see builds out there that highlight it, that is a great thing to aspire to, but again, in my opinion, it is not necessary whatsoever. However, having said that, you need to understand why I feel that way. It is because of how I play this game. I'm a casual player. I only have a few hours here, a few hours there if I'm lucky. Sometimes I can play on a daily basis for 30 minutes. It all depends on my work schedule, the kids' schedule, you know, all the family life, whatever real world stuff going on. So again, that's incredibly important to, you know, take into consideration. So do me a favor, let me know your thoughts on prototype gear in the video description down below. For me, it doesn't really affect my personal gameplay, but what I think doesn't really matter. It's what's going on in the community, so let me know your thoughts, my friends. I think that's all I got for this video. Guess what? You're never going to believe this. Guess where I'm going today? I'm not even going to say it. If you already know the answer, which you should if you follow this channel, just type the one-word location in the comment section down below, and chances are you're going to be right, my friends. Oh, one final thing I need to mention. If you do get a blueprint to drop, the first thing you need to do is go to Anaya. She is located right next to the crafting bench. You can buy the blueprint, and then you'll be able to actually craft something for the first time. But keep in mind, getting the blueprint to drop is just the first step. Once you've done that, you then need to farm the resources to actually craft the item that you're trying to get. Let me know if you have any other questions, my friends. That is all I got for this video. Thank you once again for everything, and I will see you in the next one.
The area is stabilized.